and how to set up our VAT, yeah, how to set up our VAT and how to set it up in a way that it complies to the laws and makes it easy for us to comply to the new tax law. Remember, I told you that one of the main reasons why this section is necessary now is to take cognizance of the new tax law, especially when it regards to VAT. That's what we are going to be implementing in this section today. But before we do that, let me quickly chip in something about the chart of account we did previously. Now, remember that when I say when we did the chart of account and I showed us how to organize our chart of account like this. Now, making it like this, organizing it like this, make it easier for you to recognize which transaction is which and how to post it in the appropriate ledgers. Now, you can see that all these balances are empty, right? Because there is no figure in them. Now, let's take for instance, you have your bank account and you have your bank statement. And of course, there is money in it and you want to put the balances or the ending balances into this account. All you need to do is to just double click here. Just right click on the account and click edit account. Now if you click edit account here, you see where they say enter opening balances. So here are the opening balances where you can enter the opening balances or the closing balances as at when the bank account was generated. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say this is our Access Bank account, right? Remember that this is just a fictitious account, so we're just using the Access Bank for array business for the purpose of this training. Now you click here. Now when you click here, you can enter the amount. Let's say the amount in that account is let's say it's 2 million naira, right? Let's say it's 2 million. Then the date on that statement, that's the ending date. Let's say as at December 31st 2025, right? So let's go and do that. When you do that, you click OK. Now you can choose to enter the account number here. All right, you can choose to enter the account number and the description. Like I always said, it is good to have description on all your accounts, but for the sake of this class, I'll just skip it. I'll click continue. Then I'll do the same thing to this UBA. I'll do the same thing. Let's say here I have, let's say 5, right? Let's say 5 as at when the same date, let's say 31st. I can choose 31st, I can choose 1st. Any one I choose is still is going to be the same thing because the opening balance of 31st December of 1st December January is actually 31st, right? So I can choose to go with this, either the opening balance or the closing balance. And as well, let me also go with this, right? Let's go. So I'll come here again and let's say this time around this is going to be 3 million. Don't mind me, I like calling figures because I aspire to have this kind of account or this kind of amount in my account, so I don't want to be having negative values, right? Don't mind me. All right, so when you do that, you just click save and continue. Now you can see that we have 10 million naira into our account. This is just a fictitious amount for the purpose of this training. Now if you look at this value, now you come to your opening balances here, you will see it. All right, so we actually don't want to have any opening balances in the equity section, right? I will move that amount to the I'll move that amount to owner's investment, right? Let's say I'll move this amount to owner's investment. Reason being that opening balances is for already existing businesses where the opening balances are posted at the end of the accounting period, but this is just a beginning balance, so I don't need to have it there. So I can just go ahead, double click on it. I can choose to right click from here. Now from here I can move it okay, from here. All right, so let's just go here. Let's go to accountant, then make general journal entries. So this value I am seeing here, I will move it to the owner's investment, right? I'll move it there, right? So you always see this whenever you're opening the section for the first time or anytime you're opening it. But if you don't want to see it again, you can go ahead and click do not display this message again, right? So let's go ahead. I'll say, okay, this is 1st January, the date, then the journal entry, right? The journal entry. Now remember, I want to move the balance out of that account. So what it means is that I will have to debit that my opening balance with the same amount. So move it and deposit it into, I will have to move it and into the same, to a different account. So I'll just come here, then this owner's equity, owner's investment is going to be this. Then you can put your description, and that is it. So you close and save, right? You can see that the amount has been moved from here to this place, right? So now I have, you can actually choose not to do that. You can actually choose not to do it, but I want it to be this way, and this is the right way it should be, right? So that my retained earnings will come here and my opening balances will come here. Then I know that this is what I started my business with, right? So that being said, or that being done, let's go back to what we are actually going to be doing in this section. Now we are going to be looking at how to set up our VAT. Now, by me looking at this window, right, if you're familiar with QuickBooks, or if you have gone through the previous video, you realize that this desktop or this dashboard is not complete. And what is missing? We are missing a lot of items here actually. We are missing the purchase order, we are missing the receive inventory, and we are missing the manage sales tax icon that is supposed to be here. Now, how do we call up this thing? Remember, when we created this company, we use express start instead of detail start. Now that what express start does for us is that there are so many things it will skip, it will assume we don't need them, and it will just be fast and create our company, and here we are. But that is not a problem. If you know what you are looking for, you will always find it in QuickBooks. I told us, if you know what you are actually looking for, you will always find it. So to call up this option so that we can tell QuickBooks that yes, actually we charge tax or we charge sales tax on all our transactions, or some of our transactions, depending on which one is vatable or taxable. Now, assuming QuickBooks is assuming right now that we don't do all of those things. So what we are going to do is to call it up, so that QuickBooks will now say, okay, so you charge sales tax, and we now say yes. And then how do we do that? You come to your edit here on your menu bar, then come to your preferences. Now you click on your preferences. Now you look for where you see sales tax. Now this is where we have our sales tax. Now when you click on your sales tax, okay, basically this window is where you can do any modification on your QuickBooks operational settings, like the accounting. If you want QuickBooks to use account numbers, like those account code, if you want them to use it, then you can click on that. If you want QuickBooks to track for to use class tracking for transactions, you can go ahead and do that. But that is not what we want. Basically what we are looking for here is to set up our sales tax. Now if you look at everything here, is none of these options are active. Why are they not active? They are not active because QuickBooks is not aware of whether or not we charge tax. Now this is what happens. Do you charge sales tax? Here we are saying no. That is why everything is active. So what happens if I click yes? Now if I click here, you can see that everything comes back to life. All right, now since we are already here, let's go ahead and do that and do the setup. So immediately I click yes, you can see that every other option comes up alive. Right now, another thing, after you have done that, another question you will ask yourself is, how do you want QuickBooks to identify these items that you say are vatable or taxable? Now by default, QuickBooks has what is called taxable item code. Now this is what we have as taxable icon code, tax. Now but this tax alone does not define what kind of tax is it. So what we are going to do is to change the code to what, either GST or sales tax or whatever, or whatever we would name that is related or is associated to that type of tax. right? For us in Nigeria and for most of us that are going to be joining this class from anywhere that we are around the world, it is either going to be sales tax, GST, general sales tax, or VAT. So for us in Nigeria, we are popular with what is called VAT. So I'll use VAT to identify my tax items. So that is it. All you need to do is just to type VAT. That is all. If you type VAT, you just if you type VAT, either you type the VAT here, or you click here, or you just type, either you type the VAT here, or you click add new, right? If you click add new, to give you this option. If you still type the VAT, and press your tab key, you will have this option to set up. So you can click set up and it will still bring up this same. Here you have your description. You can say sales tax, or you can say value added tax. So I prefer value added tax here. Value added tax. Now, right, so this is it, value added tax. Then the next question is this a taxable item or non-taxable item? Of course, it's a taxable item, so I'll click on taxable. Then when I click on taxable, I'll click on OK. Right, I'll click OK. Now the code has been assigned and has been saved. Now for our non-taxable item, we can have a couple of non-taxable items. Right, we can have VAT exempt item. That's items that are not vatable. We can have zero rated VAT. So we can have a couple of those items as well. So I'll go ahead and say the same thing. I'll type this. You can just go ahead and say no VAT. You can say no, or I'll just say VAT exempt, since I already have the other one. VAT, I'll say exempt. Just three things, three of this is okay, right? How do I put this? Okay, exempt, right? So let me leave it this way. All right, sorry. Now we have VAT exempt. VAT exempt. VAT exempt item. Right, so when I do that, I'll say non-VAT item. I'll go ahead and click OK. Right, if I go ahead and click OK, it will be like this. But on default, it will always be like this, non-VAT item. But I can actually choose, if that item is VAT exempted, I can choose to say VAT exempt item, and it will be identified with this non-VAT, and that's all. So I will just click on it. Now the next question is, when do you owe sales tax? Now this is another important question. Remember, I told you that everything you are seeing at the front end of whatever QuickBooks is doing actually has already happened behind the scene. That's at the back end. Now, and these are the setups you need to make to be able to work effectively at the front end. And when it comes to setting up of VAT, this is one of the most critical places you have to pay attention, because if you make mistake here, you cannot rectify it. It's not something you can easily edit. In fact, you cannot even edit it. You cannot rectify it easily unless you start afresh and start setting up your company again. Especially this is more pronounced in the QuickBooks Online, where you have only one and only chance to make that setting. Once that is done, you are done. You cannot effect it again, right? Anyway, another good thing about that is the online version is that it automatically syncs to whatever region you are. That when you select the region you are, it already knows the tax authority that is there, and to automatically detect whatever tax rate they are using in that region. But at that instance, you have the option to modify whatever you want to modify. But once it is safe forever. You cannot change it. That is one of the most difficult part of setting up your VAT and your tax setups in QuickBooks, and especially in QuickBooks Online. While for QuickBooks Desktop, you can always start creating a new company, right? You can start creating a new company and move your company data alongside with your new company. But in desktop, in online version, it is not done that way. So that's why you have to be very careful, because it is critical at that point to know exactly what you're doing. All right. So here what we are trying to do is to enter the VAT code. We are trying to enter the VAT code and to tell people that actually this is what we are doing and this is how we want it to be done. Now, when do we charge sales tax? Of course, because we are using accrual accounting basis as of invoice date. What we are saying is that whether or not we are paid cash immediately, people should start tracking the VAT or the sales tax on the item or on the transaction. So that is why it said as of invoice date. Now on default you will have it like this, but in case you don't have it like this, then you should be able to set it up on your own. But by default you always have it like this. Now when do you remit or pay sales tax? Now you remit sales tax every month. In Nigeria is from I know, right? 20, that's from the first of the next month to the to 25th, or sorry, to 20th of the, sorry, what it means in Nigeria is you remit VAT every year, sorry, every month. Now when you are remitting VAT, that VAT should be remitting from the 1st to 20th of the next month. That is, if you are paying VAT of December 2025, that means this January before 20th you should be able to remit your VAT. So that is what it basically means. Now when you come here, by default again you will have it. Now so these places are not actually the problem. We don't have problem with this area, we don't have problem with the VAT code. Now where we have problem and our major concern is here. Now you must know the items you are assigning sales tax to. Now the item we are assigning sales tax or item that we charge sales tax on. Now to do that, what you need to do is to add sales tax item. So you click on add sales tax item. When you click on add sales tax item, it will show you this option. So what you are adding is sales tax item. So let's go ahead and click. Now what do we have here? You can go ahead and write the full name, VAT sales tax item, or VAT sales tax item, or what again, GST, right? So any one you choose. So description, you can go with sales tax item, sales tax, you go ahead and leave it like that, but this is what I choose. So I can go with the full name, then I can come here. Here is where you're going to enter the rate. If the VAT rate in your country is 10%, you type 10%. If it is 12%, you type whatever percent is it you are going to type in there. Now in my case, our VAT rate is 7.5%. So that's our VAT rate. Now when I type the VAT rate, the next question is, who am I remitting this tax to? Who am I paying this tax to when collected? Right? For us in Nigeria, before now it was Federal Inland Revenue Service, but now it's Nigerian Revenue Service according to the new tax law. So you have to select the vendor you are paying this tax to. Right? So what I'm going to do is add a new vendor. So I'll just click here, add new, then I'll add Nigerian Revenue Service, Nigerian Revenue Service. Right, so this is who I am remitting this sales tax to. I just copy it and paste it here. Now if I have any opening balance of that, I will just type it here, and the date of that I will also leave it here. But in this case I don't have any. I'll just click OK. Right, once that is done, I am sure that is done, because this is where everything will be closed. Once I am done setting up this item, I cannot modify it again. In fact, I cannot even come back later and say that, oh, I make mistake, I need to modify it, I need to change, especially in terms of the rate, I need to modify. No, I don't have that luxury. People will not give you that chance to do that, because this is something you have to do once, and that is all. Now, so when I now verify that everything I did is correct, I'll just click OK. Let's go ahead and click OK. Now by clicking OK, I have added that sales tax item. Now Adding the sales tax item alone does not mean that it will automatically be added to all your items. No, it will not. So what you will have to do is to click here where you are seeing most common sales tax item. You will see that one there. This is the one we just added. So the most common sales tax item we just added is this. So I'll just click add. So that means that anytime I call up a transaction, it will automatically be assigned to that transaction. Or anytime I want to enter a transaction, I want to enter an inventory item, it will automatically be assigned without me selecting it on that item. So once I confirm that everything I did is correct, I will just go ahead and click OK. Now when I click OK, this is what happened. Because this is the first time I am updating this, or this is the first time I'm setting this, and I have already set up some items. I've entered some customers, right? I've entered, maybe if I have an existing inventory items. Now QuickBooks is trying to tell me that it will make all these items that I've already entered and customer taxable, right? So if I say no, it will skip those customers that I've already entered. If I say, that is, if I uncheck any of this, it will skip all the existing customers and leave them as non-taxable, right? But if I make it, if I tick this this thing now, if I check it, it will now make all of them, the existing customers, taxable, and make all existing non-inventory and inventory part item taxable. So I'll go ahead and check on this and click OK. Now when I do that, now it is trying to tell me, because this is the back end setting, what it means is that, you know, when you update your system, after updating your system or your Windows, it will have to restart so that all the updates you make will populate and will be, so that your system can function properly. So that is what QuickBooks is trying to do here. It's trying to tell me, okay, there are windows that are open, and for me to be able to affect all these changes, I need to close all these windows, right? So that I can make changes to the places I need to make changes to. So when I click OK, I can see that everything just went blank. Don't be scared, because your system and your Windows is still open. Your QuickBooks is still open. So all you need to do is to come back to your left hand side here where you're seeing this my shortcut, and click on home. So when you click on home, everything is back. Now if you paid attention when I introduced this section, I told us that there was something that is missing here, and that thing is this sales tax item. So that item is now back, right? So this is now where we are going to use and manage all our sales tax and make all our remittances, right? This is the options we are having. Now before we end this section and go ahead in entering our inventory and as well assigning our VAT on the items, let's first of all call up another option that we are missing here, and also move some of these things that we don't need, right? So here I need to get my inventory items. So if you look at here, I don't have an inventory item. Remember, our company is a wholesale and distribution company, right? You can see that we don't have that option for any inventory item here under the vendor, and we don't have it as well any under the company here. So how do we do that? How do we call it up? Right, your guess is right, is to go to our edit, come to our preferences, then we ask ourselves, what are we looking for? Of course, we're talking about inventory items. So inventory and items, or item and inventories. So when you click it, now it is on my preferences. Then we have to go to company preferences. Now when we click on company preferences, you can see that it's also blank because it's not active. So what we're going to do is to check this inventory and purchase order are active. So let's go ahead. Once you do that, you can just go ahead and click OK. The same thing that happens when we set up our sales tax is also going to happen here. What we do is just click OK so that it will populate. When then we'll come back to our home, you can see now that our inventory items have been colored. We have from the purchase order to the receive inventory, to enter bills against an invoice, to pay bills, and you can see that this section is complete. Then I actually don't need this option, these two options, because I'm not using them for anything. Either way, I can choose to leave them there, or I can choose to remove them. So I like making things very simple for myself. I don't like complicating things, because I won't be the only person working on this system, right? I don't want people to be clicking here and there. I just want them to know that this is what they are working on. So let's go ahead again, go back to our edit, then come to our preferences. This time around I'm talking about payments, I'm talking about customers. So I will have to look for sales, right? Then come to company preferences. Now when I come to company preferences, actually, is this the place? No, this is not. I think is going to be on payment. Now when I come to payment, where is that? Okay, jobs and estimate, I mean. Now under this job and estimate, I don't want to create estimate, right? I don't need estimate, and that's just it. When I click okay, the same thing, then come back again. Estimate is gone. Sales order, do I actually need sales orders? Let's see if I can move that away. Do I actually need sales orders? Do I need sales orders? All right, so basically that is it. But I actually don't need a sales order, but if I cannot move it, I will just have to leave it the way it is and leave it there. Right, let me see, what is this option? This is the first time I'm seeing this. Right, so let's see. Enable customer center, wherever. Well, I don't know that, but either way, that is this. So basically we have set up our sales tax item. How did we do that? To do that, we come to our edit, we come to our preference, we come to our sales tax, we come to company preference, we activated the sales tax button, we added the sales tax code, right? We added the sales tax code, then we added the sales tax item, right? We added the sales tax item. When we did that, we say okay, and we assign it or made it our most common sales tax item, so that it will always be on our on every of our transactions, right? So that is just basically what we did. Now in the next section, when we come back, we are going to add our inventory items, so that we can assign those tax items, sales tax item, and anytime we make sales, we can record directly from that place. So thank you very much, and see you in the next section.